Okay, I have a question.
Let's go.
What would what would you guys consider wifey material?
Very good one. Zuby, you lead up.
We started wifey material. Wow. I think the first thing that's important to know is that there's a gigantic gap. There's a big chasm between the women that a man might be attracted to or sleep with versus date versus wifey material, right? It's like concentric circles. So maybe out of like 100 women who are young-ish, you know, if a guy's being realistic, maybe a dude will be like, oh, you know, like I find half somewhat attractive. And maybe out of 100, he might be like, you know, maybe there's 20 he'd date, but there might be only like 1 or 2 who he'd actually consider for marriage. At least if he's a thinking man. If he's a dude who just like would wife up any woman who he's sexually attracted to, which some guys do, and it's really stupid, and they end up in bad situations. But that's how it is. So, but to answer the question specifically, obviously, first thing, physical attraction, and that is partly objective, but largely subjective, right? Like, as the guy needs to be very attracted to the woman, whether or not other guys think she's hot, whatever, who cares? Like, if that's going to be his wife, that's his wife. But I think you've got to be super strongly physically attracted. If that's going to be like, dude, that's your one woman for your life. Then yeah, very physically attractive. Personality, honestly, kindness goes very far. Kindness and not being a pain in the ass. Like, oh no, honestly, like it's not being annoying. As a guy, if you're working hard and you're ambitious, like you deal with a lot of crap every day, you want to come home. You brought up the concept of like being his peace, someone who's peaceful, someone who you can just talk to and genuinely be yourself with. I'm a very intellectual person, so I like to have deep conversations. Someone who I can someone I can just like talk to about anything and go off on whatever, and it's not just like super surface level. And then another thing that's very important is if you're talking wifey material, you're talking mother material, right? If you're going to be the what kind of mother would you be to my future sons and daughters? Right. I want to have a lot of kids. So if I'm looking at a woman in that way, I'm looking at, okay, it's one thing how you treat me, but in terms of qualities that would make you a good mother, what are you looking like in that regard? And there are many women who would make great girlfriends, but they wouldn't necessarily make good wives or mothers. Right. And I think a lot of times women miss that. I think that they think, oh, because I'm attractive and I'm nice, that makes me wifey material to a certain type of guy. But that's not necessarily, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I also think your moralities need to line up. Your moralities and your overall like ethics and worldviews. You don't need to agree 100% on everything, but when it comes to things like, you know, religion, politics, social issues, cultural issues, especially if you have strong feelings about those things, right? Like if you're a very conservative dude and the woman is like some super lefty progressive, or like it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be really, really rough. Like if you're religious, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Orthodox Jew, whatever, and the woman is like, you know, atheistic to the point of being like, especially like anti-religion, it's not going to work. Especially, you have to think when you bring children into the picture, what's that going to look like? It's one thing if you're just negotiating between two people, but if you're creating a whole family and a legacy and a dynasty, how's that all going to work? So you have to think on a much, much deeper level. And when I look at marriages and I look at ones that are very successful and long lasting, or I look at ones that don't work, it's where oftentimes people haven't really done the pre-thinking and made sure that they align on those values and the vision and what they actually want in the world. Like, it's crazy to me that there are people who get married, and once they're married, they find out that one of them wants 4 kids and the other doesn't want children. Right. After they're married. Like, that is insane. Oh shit! You know, right? Like that's insane.
You know,
like,
it's actually suggested, like, for couples, like they literally give a discount on your wedding if you go and get married, like marriage therapy before getting married. Yeah. It makes sense. But you should really just know where the person stands on the stuff that's really important. And I think if you align on all those things, and I think it's also really important that she believes in marriage. And in many parts of the world, you don't really need to worry about that.
But I think particularly in this modern Western world, especially here in the USA, like if you're marrying a woman, like what does marriage even mean to her? Right. Does marriage mean like extended dating? And if she gets bored or she gets tired or she's not happy, then she's just going to bounce. Then that's totally out the picture. Like I wouldn't marry, I'll be real, I wouldn't marry a woman who even like believes in divorce. Right. If you even believe in divorce, like if you think that's even an option, straight up gone. Like wouldn't even consider, right? Like I don't even, to me, divorce is not an option. Like it's not even on my radar. Like there's no divorces in my family. I've got a freaking huge family. Like there's no divorces. Marriage is for life. That's how I view it. I don't have this like super modern Western version of it. And you know, some people, that won't align with some people. Me just saying that is going to be someone else. Oh, wow, he's too traditional. He's too conservative, whatever. I'm like, cool. Like we're not going to work. Right. Like
I think what you said was very profound. A lot of women don't want a marriage. They want a wedding. And that's another thing that we just got to acknowledge.
Weddings are for women. Men don't care. No man thinks about his wedding. No man, no young, but women. It's girls and women who think about weddings.
Yeah.
Men think about marriage. We think about marriage, but we don't like dudes we'd get married in a shoebox if our wife and family would be okay. Like we don't care about that. Like the ceremony itself, men don't care if we're being real. But the marriage itself, everything that comes after that for the decades following, as it should be, then yeah, that's deep. So that's a little bit of a long-winded answer.
That's pretty good though.
But for me, it's something that is, I think, a huge mistake people make with marriage. And I say this as someone who's not married yet. But I think a big mistake so many people make is simply that they don't take it seriously enough. Right. They don't really think about it that much. They just think, I like this person, I'm attracted to them. You know, maybe we have fun in bed or whatever. So let's get married and let's bring children into the world. And they don't think of just like how deep a commitment it is. And, you know, and because I think a great marriage is like one of the best things that someone can experience. And I think a bad one is like one of the worst things. I think it's the most important decision you make in your life.
Yeah. It could be the best thing, but it could also simultaneously be the worst thing.
I've seen and I know many people who have incredible, successful marriages, and they're happier and more successful and more fruitful and are leaving a much bigger legacy for it.
Yeah.
And we've all also seen people, whether men or women, who have, you know, been chopped in half emotionally, financially, spiritually, off, you know, being with the wrong person.
And I think, you know, because some of the things you said there might catch some women off guard, but I don't think women understand that men take a way bigger risk getting married than women do.
It's a very big risk.
You know.